Yeah. If you didn't watch the Tim Pool interview yesterday, you're probably a little bit surprised, right? So, what I wanted to do is just talk about it because I see the social media reactions when it comes to the interview last night, and a lot of people are saying that Tim Pool blew it. Other people are saying that he handled it well. Other people are saying it, whatever. The we're just I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna go over the video. I'm gonna go over my thoughts. But before I like put my thoughts on top of it, I think it's just important that we actually show what transpired yesterday in the interview as much as we can because I don't know. Part of me, I guess what I'll give my perspective on why I was excited for this interview in the beginning, right? Part of me was excited to see if everything that everyone was saying, all the leftist talk, all the even people on the right that were criticizing Tim Pool or criticizing Kanye West or Ye, and I'm just going to call him Kanye West because that's what he was growing up, and not Ye. And it's not. I'm not doing it to be mean or anything, but we all know that he's gone through some stuff, right? Just in his life in general. But the way the media has been attacking him in recent times versus because of things that he said, I almost felt like he was just not getting a fair shake from the media. That's the way it seemed to me, in that the media was calling him, crazy and things like this, and calling him mental, and then the tweets would come out, and then he would make tweets, and then there's a whole thing with the Donald Trump dinner on Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which I felt it was weird because the media actually shifted. They used the Kanye West, and it wasn't really the Kanye interview with Donald Trump or the Kanye dinner with Donald Trump that got everybody up in arms. It was the fact that Nick Fuentes and the Milo guy were there for whatever transpired at that dinner. And to be honest, we don't really know a lot of what happened at that dinner because they didn't even get into it yesterday. I don't watch Tim Pool's show a lot, to be honest. Um, I know his criticisms, and I suppose his criticisms are part of the reason why I don't watch the show a lot. Typically I'm like an alpha type of personality, and I don't like people that have an alpha personality because then I end up just getting pissed, and they get pissed, and we get pissed back and forth, and it just goes off. And that's definitely what Tim Pool has on his show. So a lot of times he comes off as I don't know the best word to describe it to me. Um, a lot of the times he comes off as like pompous, you know what I mean, or like a know-it-all. And but it's his show, it's his shtick. That's what he does. But I was excited to hear this interview because I thought that, for one, it's a huge deal for Tim Pool, right? He knew leading up to this interview that it was going to be massive. He knew that he's going to have, all of his detractors, all of Kanye West detractors, all of the people that do support both of them. They were all going to be tuned in to try to watch whatever transpired. And that's, I mean, take me for example. That's why I wanted to watch it. Is I wanted to basically verify for myself that the things that the media were saying about Kanye West were true or not, right? Because that's just how I am. I'm not someone that just immediately goes to be like, "Oh, what they're saying is true or what they're saying is false." What I tend to do is look for evidence. You know what I mean? So that's why I looked forward to the interviews, because I wanted to see anything that would verify some of the things that he said. Like the whole anti-Semitic rhetoric and stuff that Conway is alleged to have said, I don't know, especially after last night's interview, and I'll play it. I'm not going to talk too much about the interview until I play, portions of it and break it down, because Kanye does go into, like, the best way I can describe it is like a manic rant for 10 minutes or so, and he covers like 15 different things. So we'll play that and break it down. But the whole like anti-Semitic stuff, that, or the label that he's being labeled at, I guess I don't really understand that, because he's basically saying, based on his experience, the people that he's interacted with, well, he's labeling everyone that did him wrong as Jewish. So I guess I could, yeah, that's wrong. You know what I mean? So it's weird when you think about it, when you learn his perspective on it. So we'll play some of this, and I'm going to stop it a lot to try to avoid copyrights and all that. But we're going to play a little bit of this interview because he said so many different things. Like Kanye West basically broke the news on himself like 17 different times, right? You know, that he's going to go, or that they're trying to send him to jail. And I mean, you guys can be the judge of what you're hearing, and let me know what you think in the chat and all that as well. And then, you know, we'll just keep going.
Is Epstein? We will be streaming on Twitter. So yeah, I started a t-shirt company after YouTube.
So this is just their intro.
Demonetized me. So the best political shirt stuff
that we bring. Anti-semite, right? So I just got to go right to the heart of this anti-semite claim that's happening. This is something, if you read the definition, it says you can't claim that there's multiple people inside of banks or in media that are all Jewish, or you're anti-Semitic. And that's the truth.
See, that's a first bit that I didn't really understand. See, he's basically saying that, let me just play that again, because that didn't, I wish there was a quicker way just to go back.
That's happening. This is something, if you read the definition, it says you can't claim that there's multiple people inside of banks or in media that are all Jewish, or you're anti-Semitic. And that's the truth. Like, it's the truth. What are we talking about? And
elaborate. What do you mean? You mean?
I'm saying, like, I've been labeled anti-Semite, right? So there's different beliefs.
You know what I'm curious about is who is sitting there, because many times during his rant, he turns over to, you know, and looks at, is that where Milo is sitting? Because that's what I would be curious about, because he almost looks like he's looking for cues from either Nick or Milo or the people that are with them. You know what I mean? So that's, I don't know. I wonder who's giving him the cues. So basically what he's saying is he doesn't understand why, when he points out that, in his opinion, a lot of the people that run banks, a lot of the people that run Hollywood are of Jewish descent, that if you point that out, you're being labeled as an anti-Semite, which is, that's exactly what he just said, which that wouldn't make you an anti-Semite. It would be the other statements that you say after, right? Or is it just, if you point out that the majority of banking institutions, or in his view, the majority of, he's saying the majority of banking institutions, the majority of the power figures in Hollywood are Jewish people. And because he points that out to the world, he's being labeled as an anti-Semite, which that wouldn't fit the definition of an anti-Semite. So you have to understand, like, he's missing something. Someone said he's looking over at Tim's co-host. He does it a lot, though. Watch the video. He does it a lot where he looks at that, whoever that person is, I think more than anybody else.
Beliefs about our bloodlines, you know, like the documentary that Kyrie posted. And in general, America has been left ignorant and history has been changed. So when we start questioning things that question the indoctrination, then you immediately get, you know, you said debanked, or what did you say happened to you? Or
demonetized, deplatformed.
Demonized, demonetized.
Yeah, you're right. He's looking at Luke.
And what's so beautiful about this time is everyone got to see what's really been happening. And now we can really understand. We can see that Ron Emanuel was right next to Obama, and then Jared Kushner was right next to Trump.
But so we're
oh my gosh. So I mean, he makes a valid point if you take it at just what he said there. Do you know what I mean? Because he's basically saying, listen, if you point something out that you believe is true, even if it's flawed, even if it's not true, you know, and and I don't know the factual basis. I don't know if most banks are owned by Jewish people, and I don't know that Hollywood is run by Jewish people. So I can't agree with him on those statements because I have no freaking clue. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a billionaire that banks with all these people, and I'm not a Hollywood actor or musician, so I have no idea. But what's interesting is he's making a valid point in saying that if you call something out, regardless of how right or wrong it is, if you call something out and people disagree with that aspect, you can be canceled. And what he just said is, he's like, at least when he was canceled, it's something that garnished national attention, so more people became aware of it. At least that's what I gathered from it. You know, from this part. And trust me, it goes on and on. He then says Rahm Emanuel with Obama and Jared Kushner with Donald Trump, meaning that they are essentially being the puppets. Like Emanuel was being the puppeteer behind Obama, and Kushner was the puppeteer behind Trump, which I think is complete garbage. I don't think anyone is pulling Trump's strings, or at least not in the White House times. I think now maybe he's turned more into a politician than I would like to see. But I don't know if anybody would be able to pull Trump's strings, to be honest. And that's what he's insinuating here. From, again, this is my perspective.
We're getting right into it, I guess, right? I was hoping to go for the news first before we got into all of this stuff. I think the issue is, one way to put it is, you're expounding upon a localization issue that you've witnessed, right? Let me clarify. There are a handful of people that you see are Jewish in a certain place, and then you associate Judaism with the power, whereas I view that as not relevant to it. Like, yeah, you're substantially more powerful than I am, but I don't view what you're doing as an issue of black people.
Yeah.
And see, that makes points, or that makes a point, but has Kanye West ever clarified that the people that are against him are all Jewish people? Because I've never heard him say that. I didn't hear him say it in this interview. He was just pointing out that the people that he views that are against him are Jewish people. You know, so I guess I understand Tim Pool's perspective, that if he's saying, hey, listen, you're generalizing a whole group of people based on the actions of a few, and that's wrong. That is wrong. You know what I mean? But then you got to look at this thing. And so if that's wrong, so here's a question for everybody. If it's wrong to generalize a group of people, you know, to say Jewish people, right? If it's wrong to generalize a group of Jewish people because some people control banks, or allegedly some people control banks in Hollywood, and they're telling him it's wrong to label all Jewish people that way, which obviously it would be, then you have to, especially if you agree that that's wrong, then you must also agree that saying people have, or white people have white privilege, would also be wrong, because then you are lumping all white people into this one group of people that may have privilege or not. Like for example, I grew up dirt poor. I had every single disadvantage put in front of me in my life to you know, just shoot me down and not be able to succeed. And, you know, my brothers and we all succeeded, you know, and we had to do it ourselves completely from the ground. We didn't get college scholarships based on our race. We didn't get loans or handouts based on race or anything like that. So when I hear the term white privilege, I personally, even though it doesn't affect me, I personally take offense to that. And when other people reference that, you're referencing an entire group of white people as people that benefit more from somebody else. How is that different than what Kanye West is describing? Because he's basically saying because let's be honest, there are white elite people in this country that have lots of opportunity, you know, presented for them, you know. But what is the difference of him saying, you know, that? Well, I guess he's not saying it though. That's the thing I'm struggling with right now. I haven't heard anything, including this whole interview last night. I haven't heard anything that he said that apparently led to this whole like the way the media and the way that Tim Pool even just described it. He didn't label all Jewish people. Like, did anyone just hear it? We just played 2 minutes or 3 minutes of Kanye West talking about it. Did anyone hear Kanye West label all Jewish people? No, what he said is the people that affected him were Jewish. I can't fact check that. I don't know whether that's true. But, you know, and so Tim Pool just basically says, well, that, you know, I don't generalize a whole group of people. I didn't hear Kanye West do it either. But if you say that, for all the detractors that are saying he is generalizing all sorts of people and that is wrong, so why is it okay to do it with white people and white privilege and all that stuff? Do you know what I mean? That's my question. I don't know. This is meant to be more of like a make you kind of think thing. So, and I'm going to talk about Milo and Nick and all that stuff at the end. I'm just trying to get through this, piece by piece, and then I'll talk about how Milo and Nick are using Kanye to be relevant, but in my opinion.
But have you ever heard the term the black vote? So it's okay to put us in one net, but it's not okay for me to put them in one net.
Which is very true. He said that yesterday, and I was like, mic drop. Like, I literally said that out loud when I was watching this back. And a lot of people in the chat were like, whoa, that's very true. Why is it okay for them to say black vote, but it's not okay for him to lump everybody else together? So I guess maybe that is what he's trying to do. Maybe that is what he's trying to do, is lump all Jewish people together based on that summarization, right? Based on his use of black vote as a descriptor. Is he now, can we use that as evidence that he's trying to lump all Jewish people together with the Jewish people that he feels, harmed him in life? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's the basis of the hypocrisy that people have been thinking about and knowing about and realizing for decades. We were all wondering how this dam was going to break. Everybody in the country was wondering, what is the root of this hypocrisy? Why can people talk about white people a certain way? Why can't they talk about that group a certain way? And the wretched and wicked and oppressive prevailing orthodoxy of cancel culture, well, it turned out that the one thing that was going to break the dam was the biggest star in the world, and it took the biggest star in the world to do it. And now the dam is broken. So
let me tell you my issue.
They're riding his coattails. Milo Yakovlevich, or whatever the hell his name is, and the other guy, Nick Fuentes, who only gets to say one sentence in this whole interview. They are literally just right. Like, that was the most praise that you could give anyone. Well, basically saying that the only reason this is being called to light. And I suppose I agree with the premise that you're not supposed to be able to, you can't generalize. This is literally what we've been saying for the past 2 years, with all the BLM riots and all the craziness and saying all cops are bad cops and all that stuff. We've been saying this for a long time, saying, listen, yeah, sure, there are bad cops out there, but you can't say the majority of the cops are bbad. Yeah, sure, there are bad teachers. You can't say the majority of teachers are bad. Yeah, sure, there are bad politicians. You can say they're all bad because they are. And you know what I mean? You can, but you're not supposed to be able to do that. However, it's seemingly okay for people to do that, but if you challenge people in the opposite, it's not. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't like identitarianism. You guys are familiar with what that is?
Well, they started it, and they've been visiting on us. We're trying to break it.
When I was asking you about running for president, you immediately said, well, you'd be good for the black vote. And I said, is that because I'm black? No, not just because of that. So is that, are you doing the same thing?
I didn't say.
See, you dropped another one, because that is what that means. If he said, like running for president, Tim Pool is goofy. Because he says that off air. So he probably was, I'll guarantee you what probably happened is Tim Pool was sitting in there for the hour with Kanye West before, and they're chopping it up and everything was fine. Tim Pool said it was fine. Great conversations, they said. And I bet Tim Pool was being super agreeable. And then they turn on the cameras and they turn on the live stream. And then all of a sudden, Tim Pool now has an opinion. Although I'll be honest, Tim Pool didn't really get to say an opinion. The only thing he did was challenge Kanye West's opinion. He didn't really even say his opinion. At any point, you'll hear, because they keep talking over him. And they were talking over Tim Pool.
That was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person, and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black, there's a lot of black people that don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. And I think that's for.
I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls.
He's 100% correct on that. He's 100% on that. Because if you look past the race and just look at the person, you're going to get a whole different set of issues. That was 100% right. He said, the use of the concept of rape or race is part of the whole woke system, which 100%.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Judaism?
Well, let's look at the facts of what I'm saying, though. If you say in this neighborhood where they gerrymander, there's this amount of time. So, hey, I wasn't doing that. I was just gerrymandering the lawyers and the Hollywood executives and the people at the bank that debanked me and then froze my accounts. You know, it's like we want to jump into protecting the idea that we can't put a net around something, right? But that's been my job as a producer, to take, you know, a Roy Ayers sample and put a James Brown drum and put it within a 2-minute, 3-minute song. That's the way I actually think, and that's the way I talk. And now this morning I found out.
See, and this is where things get crazy. Like, I understand what he just said too. You know, basically, you know, saying, well, I think it was also a escape, because he basically was trying to say one of the reasons why he's lumping everybody together. And again, Tim said something about Judaism. I haven't heard Kanye during this whole thing, like truly and blatantly label all Jewish people as bad. You know, he and to be honest, he hasn't really spoken negative. He just says they own banks and they run Hollywood. That's all he said thus far. You know, which is it's weird, and that a lot of that there's so much weird. It's just weird. The progression of Kanye's fall from grace, or fall from his high spot, because it seems like everything that they're targeting and every you know, Tim Pool questions here, you know, and it seems like they're getting their information from some other source other than Kanye West in his statements, at least by what I've seen during this interview. I haven't heard Kanye West, and I haven't seen any tweets, and even in previous searching, I haven't seen anything where Kanye West is being blatantly anti-Semitic. The only thing I know he said is he said he was harmed by Jewish people, and went to clarify that he was harmed by the people that are running Hollywood, by his lawyers, by his personal trainers, by all the powerful figures in his life. That's what he was saying. Do I understand? Like, if you're using that as a descriptor to lump everybody else together, but again, they've been doing it for a long time. Do you know what I mean? The left has been doing it on the right all the time. Think about it. I just talked about it. You know, white privilege, bad cops, like all cops are B words. Remember, they've been doing it for a long time. How is what he's doing any different than what the left has been doing for a long time? You know what I mean? How? Does anybody know in the chat? Does anybody know?
That they
and this part is where he gets crazy. So this is where he was talking about finding out that they were trying to send him to jail, and it takes him a while to get it out. But listen,
were trying to put me in prison, because what they did was I moved $140 million into JP Morgan, and I said, I want to talk to Jamie Dimon. Like, look at me, I'm just going in naive, you know, multi-billionaire, like, maybe Jamie Dimon will let me in on some deal flow. Wrong. And I'm just like banging my hands like, I want to meet with Jamie. And I start complaining online, and then they debank me for complaining. And so I'm about to get debanked. They're like, you need to go to Trump's, the bank, AXO, whatever, you got to go. And I'm like, I've been trying to buy my own bank for the longest. And then we figured out how to get my own bank. It's like 50 million, 75 million. So I'm about to buy my own bank. But then as they're about to take the money out, here comes Adidas with a $275 million bill for marketing funds that they agreed upon. Because I said to them,
see, and this is where it gets really fucking screwy, because he talks about how they're trying to put him in jail. And then he's like, then he transitions into JP Morgan Chase seized his bank, and to be honest, that's the first time I heard about them seizing his bank accounts. I know they closed his bank accounts. That was widely reported. And to be honest, that's not news. They've been doing that to conservatives for a very long time. JP Morgan Chase has been closing down bank accounts of people they disagree with politically for, you know, several years now. Every 2 or 3 months, it comes out that some big celebrity or some big right conservative or some big, you know, talking head had their bank account seized. Or not seized, but shut down. So, but what he said here is that they seized his money, which is something that I don't know has been described before. he still doesn't go into how he's going to go to jail for that. And it takes a long time. And to be honest, you don't really know what it is, but he does make a joke about tax evasion in a little bit and running for president from jail. So you'll hear that in a second, and maybe that'll provide some clarity.
Hey, I'm the marketing, give me the marketing fund, which proves by the response they got when they, stole the designs and said, we're going to not call them Yeezys anymore. So this is what I was already fighting Adidas for. So I'm fighting Gap, get out of Gap, fighting Adidas. And then I deal with this little bit of noise from, Zionism from the fashion world, where they use this plant named Gabby, who's obviously like some kind of CIA agent, knows nothing about fashion. This
is where it gets like, I was laughing at this point because, I've talked to some people that are a little bit nutty just in my days. And this is what they do. They just ramble on about something else. And he says this lady, and can any of you guys find who he's talking about? This CIA plant named Gabby. And let's be honest. Do I think the CIA has people embedded deep in Hollywood that they feel that they can influence, famous people? Yeah, probably. I mean, shit. Yeah, of course. And like his personal trainer was like an Canadian Army PSYOP officer. And that's true. You can't even dispute that. That's true. He posted tweets from his ex-personal trainer, some Harley guy, where the Harley guy was like, listen, you either need to have a conversation or I'm going to lock you back up and you're not going to see your kids again. Like some crazy stuff. And he put out those tweets publicly because he knew it was wrong. But yeah, he goes off and talks a lot about stuff. I see a lot of you guys are saying Tim blew it. I don't think so, because you'll see it in a minute, right? You'll see, because at this point, Kanye West is still talking. He's not really losing his cool yet. It does happen. And you'll hear him say twice that he's going to leave. You'll hear him say it twice before he actually does. And I'll stop it. And part of the reason why I'm talking through this is because I have to. So I'm trying to avoid getting a copyright strike. I don't know if they'll do it because I'm definitely making this a reaction video. Also, guys, if you want to support this show, there's a link in your chats. It's also in the description of this video. We support American truckers quite a bit on this network. I have 15, 16 years in the transportation and supply chain industry. And we're doing a t-shirt bundle through our store on theangryturnip.com, where if you go and you purchase this t-shirt bundle, we're donating $10 off of every purchase to the St. Christopher's Trucking Fund, which is a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit that helps truck drivers that have fallen ill on the road. They help truck driver families if tragedy strikes. So we're going to be donating $10 for every bundle that's sold. You can follow that link. We're also going to give away a 55-inch flat screen television. We're going to do it. What's today? Tuesday. So we're going to do it on Thursday night. And the way you enter is just buying one of the bags there. And so if you like what we're doing, and if you've been watching us for a long time, please buy the bag. I don't plug stuff like this, too much. We have a lot of big bills coming up, and to try to be able to keep doing this and opening the store and everything. So I do need your help at supporting the show. Also down below, I have the Cash App and Venmo and all that. So if you guys would be so kind, do that. Anyway, let's go back to this.
This is a certain thing. When someone can't dress, that they're not like a fashion person. They're just there as like the society, like the control that they try to use with celebrities, which has now been broken, right? Because where it broke. I want to get on like LeBron in a second, but I'm going to come back to this and just talk about this morning where.
See, I don't even know what the hell he was saying there. The whole thing. He was talking about the lady that's a CIA op, and then this, and you could tell she doesn't really know anything about fashion because of the way she dresses and blah, blah, blah. And then he switches and starts laughing and says, I'm going to talk about LeBron. And then he just goes off on the deep end again. But listen, this is where he talks a little bit more about why he believes they're trying to send him to prison.
I'm not going to mention her name because she's a nice lady, but someone at Cohen Resnick tells me, and I tell all of my finance people, never use the term a lot, but they said, okay, you're going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And that made me feel like they're just like waiting, like we finally got him. We finally can put him in jail. And I was like, can I still run for president in jail? I found out I could. So I was like, okay, that's fine then. It'll be okay.
But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, they wouldn't touch your bank account. They would allow you to break the rules, regulations, just like JP Morgan and Chase did, just like Deutsche Bank did. So there is an issue to bring up with that. But when it comes to the race stuff, I think this is an important discussion to have because I
have to complete this thought. You guys got to.
Okay, go ahead. All
right, because I'm talking about literally finding out that they were trying to put me in prison.
See, and I guess I missed that when Luke tried to do that, because Luke tried to steer the conversation back into the race thing, which they already knew that Kanye didn't want to talk about. And yet they're driving, like Tim Pool then later on says after Kanye storms out that they only wanted to talk about this dinner. They didn't necessarily want to get into all this stuff in the beginning. However, that's not what just transpired. That's not what Luke was just asking. Luke was going back to the race conversation, which you guys will hear again.
All of my finance people never use the term a lot, but they said, okay, you're going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And that made me feel like they're just like waiting, like we finally got him. We finally can put him in jail. And I was like, can I still run for president in jail? I found out I could. So I was like, okay, that's fine then. It'll be okay.
But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, they wouldn't touch your bank account. They would allow you to break the rules, regulations, just like JP Morgan and Chase did, just like Deutsche Bank did. So there is an issue to bring up with that. But when it comes to the race stuff, I think this is an important discussion to have because I
have to complete this thought. You guys got to.
Okay, go ahead. All
right, because I'm talking about literally finding out that they were trying to put me in prison this morning. Watch this. So
this morning.
Yes. So not come to my house this morning, but I found out, okay, so they put a $75 million hold on 4 of my accounts. And then they said, you owe a lot of taxes. Took me like 6 hours to find out how much a lot was. They said, well, around $50 million. Now I'm going to different CFOs like, okay, so would this be tax evasion? Because I'm obviously not the most financially literate person on the planet. I was just a child, basically. Like when you become famous, you stop growing at that point. I became famous at age 24 and I had handlers around. I had my mom around, different things. And it was always like you go from one handler to the next handler to the next handler. So now I'm having, I get to.
I don't know. When I was 24 years old, I was a grown ass man. You know what I mean? So like, I can't. There's a lot of people in life that I can't connect with, and I think he's one. Because for one, he just rambles on, right? So now so I got to correct something I said earlier, because I thought that he said 2 accounts were seized with $75 million apiece. He then says 4 accounts were seized. So I guess what he's saying is I think it was his law firm was the one that called him, I believe. And he's saying that basically they told him he's going to have a huge tax burden. If he doesn't pay it, he's going to go to jail. And he probably was like, how the hell am I supposed to pay it? Because, JP Morgan Chase or whoever these bank accounts belong or, are being held by has seized his money, which how are they seizing his money unless there's been a court filing? And I guess I should have checked Pacer, unless he's being sued by Adidas. If he's being sued by Adidas and they got a temporary injunction to freeze his bank account so he couldn't move any money, then then yes, I guess the money could be seized. But other than that, why would his money, where would there be any grounds to seize his money? You know what I mean? Someone said, true, Steve, but you weren't a gazillionaire either. Money like that stops emotional growth. Yeah, but he wasn't either. He said he became famous when he was 24 years old. When I was 24 years old, I was working. I was, with my wife. Yeah. How old am I? Yeah. So I was just, with my life, we're starting our life. That's what we were doing. We're 2 years away from having our first kid. I was working jobs and living a life, being an adult. Yeah. Granted, I was drinking heavily at that point because I was a bouncer and a bartender, but it is what it is. Let's someone said, you understand him? I don't.
You actually learn how to run a company. I get to learn how to count. Really, I was like Pablo in a movie. It was like I didn't even know where to put the money, like literally making $300 million cash, but you're just like a high-priced, we're not going to use the S word just because it's just like too passe to use it, but it's like next year I was supposed to make $500 million in royalties. And like, no one needs this amount of money. But when I would work on homeless shelters and ideas, I'd have a contractor, we won't say what race, and they'd be tearing down the contracts. It's all about, position. It's not about the amount of money that you have. And, to come in here, I feel like it's a setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, like I'm literally going to walk the F off the show if I'm sitting up here having to, talk about, you can't say that it was Jewish people that did it when every sensible person knows that. I mean, Jon Stewart knows what happened to me and they took it too far. It was like American History X. Like my head was on the side.
And so that was the first time he says he's going to walk out. He's getting himself all worked up here. And he's basically saying like, I guess I understand. I guess I understand what he's saying. He's mad right now that he is being told he can't use some generalization for the people that are wronging him. Because like if he all called him chapstick, he's just using Jewish or it seems to me that he's using Jewish as a descriptor. If he said all these men that wear pants, or all of these men that wear suits, or all of these people in suits, or if he called them as suits, I don't know if we would have the same kind of outrage that we currently have. It's because he's choosing to label them or group them by race, which is causing the left to go crazy. You know what I mean? Which of course, this is a big thing for Tim Cass. It's a big thing for Tim Pool to have these people on their show. So of course they're going to keep trying to bring it up, which I find weird because they're not even really bringing it up. Clearly he's talking about something. Every now and then they try to get him, like Luke did try to steer him back to the race conversation. And then he says, well, listen, if you guys want to keep talking about the race conversation, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to sit here through another 4 hour because he did an interview with Lex Fridman where it was one-on-one and they just talked back and forth and they talked in circles for 4 hours. I think that's kind of more of what this is, I think he's probably tired of defending his choices, of labeling. Well, I mean, he's still grouping people. But then again, he's used to people doing that already. He's used to people doing it with all cops are bastards and white privilege. And he's used to it. He's right. He is used to it. That is what they're used to. That is what he's used to. And that's what all of us are used to. I mean, look at what they're doing now. They're saying if you support an America First agenda, then you are a MAGA terrorist extremist. It's literally what everyone's doing. He's just labeling people by religion versus politics. Do you know what I mean? He's just, I don't know if he actually means harm by it. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of his tweets to understand if he means harm by it. But I don't know. That's a different perspective. But this is right after he says he's going to walk out for the first time. Oh, what did I do? Where's the sound? Oh, you fucker. Now I don't have any sound. Why? This happened before and I had to just unplug it and then plug it back in. Technology, right? Let's wait for it. So it should be on.
My head.
There we go.
Found out that my trainer was a MK Ultra Canadian intelligence.
He worked in the defense research and development in the Canadian military, essentially working on psyops
Who's
in
this
the
guy?
Canadian military. This is Harley Pasternak.
See, and Tim Pool has gotten a tremendous amount of flack for that statement that he just made right there. Who is this guy? Right? Meaning, because it's almost like Tim Pool didn't know anything about who this Harley Pasternak guy was, which doesn't make any sense. You know, because Tim Pool says he's a journalist. If you're a journalist, before you go to have someone on your show, you do background on him. One of the backgrounds that you're going to find out is Kanye West had a viral tweet within the past month of a tweet from a personal trainer named Harley Pasternak that threatened the livelihood of Kanye West, threatened to lock him back up in a hospital, drug him out of his mind, and threatened that Christmas will never be the same with your kids. And Kanye West published that tweet. So a lot of people are like, holy crap. At this point, then they're like, Tim Pool didn't even do any research for this interview. It's no wonder why he's triggering Kanye. And I saw that bit of criticism for or against Tim Pool. And I suppose I agree. You know, I don't do interviews much because I'm a hothead. You know, I like to interview terrorists and call them shitheads. But you know, that's just my thing, or politicians and call them corrupt. That's why no one will come on my show, because I'm a little bit more direct than they like to deal with. However, I always do my research, always. You know what I mean? So I'm not like talking out my ass when we come on. But yeah, listen more. So that's the background on his personal trainer.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me. And they when I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears you. I mean, look at
they would have Michael Jackson
or worse, yeah.
So
look at what they did. Look at what they did to Britney. When she went in, she was tired, she was exhausted, she was in a bad way. But 10 years of that medication wrecked her brain. You can see it now. You can see there's not much of her left.
You mentioned Pasternak was the name.
I don't like I don't like Milo. I think well, I'll talk about that after.
Yes, Harley Pasternak. That's the text message that you posted that we were talking about before.
Here's
the lobotomy threat.
Yeah.
Before the show, obviously, I'm getting a bunch of messages from people. People are hitting me up and they're like, "You shouldn't host them. They're anti-Semitic. They're white supremacists. They're racist." I do find the idea. I do find it funny or weird or whatever that, you know, Nick, they call you a white supremacist. You're here working with or for, you know, one of the most powerful black men, one of the wealthiest and most famous. But a lot of people were saying on the right specifically, don't platform them. And I said, well, I want to understand what they're thinking and why they're thinking it. They're they're involved in what may be the biggest news story of the past week, and we have an opportunity to sit down and talk.
Because the red media controls both sides. It just said it as simple as possible. Jared Kushner was next to Trump. Ron Emanuel was next to Obama.
But I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. I really don't. I don't know what he's going on about that.
Since 1940, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't that an issue of these individuals? Like you're extrapolating.
I'm going to order with the last of my money that's available in a different account. I'm going to order a PJ before I sit and have another Lex Friedman setup conversation. When I'm literally they're trying to put me in jail for my opinion.
But I get that.
I'm not going to have that opinion. I don't care about people. Those are bots that are trying to tell you. We realize, look at Pence. He's so
that was his second time of saying that he was going to bounce. He said he's going to go into one of his accounts that hasn't been seized and order a PJ, and order a plane and leave. He's not going to sit. And I understand what he's saying, because he feels like he has to constantly defend his viewpoint. I mean, you're a public figure and you're trying to run for president of the United States. Of course you got to defend your viewpoint. You got to do it ad nauseum so many times for the rest of your life. If you are a public figure, if you don't want to be a public figure, go away. Stop being in the public limelight. Here's an idea. Don't say you're running for president. Don't put yourself into situations and then go out and do what you're doing. You know, and that's the truth. I'll be honest, I watch this and I feel sad. You know, I feel sad about it. Someone said Ron paid Tim $100,000. What is that, Beverly? I have no idea what you're talking about. But I heard mention of that. I heard people saying that in the chat too. So I'm curious last night they were saying that. So I'm curious what you're talking about. But you know, if Kanye West doesn't want to be a public figure, he needs to just go away. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying literally just go. How many celebrities do that? Just say enough is enough. They don't want to deal with the limelight anymore, and they just fall off and do what they do. So many celebrities do that all the time. But when you keep putting yourself out there and you keep, the dude's got stupid money. He's got money for the rest of his life. Just royalties on music is more than any of us could ever dream of. He doesn't need to make the shoes. He doesn't need to do anything. All he needs to do is just sit down and just have his life and be a dad to his kids and those kind of things. I don't think he wants to, and he's not going to be able to do it when he's got people like Milo and Nick Fuentes and whoever else is behind him saying, hey, this is a good idea. It's a good idea to do this. Like if I was his handler, yeah, Kanye, I'll work for you because I tell you to just go away. Like seriously, just go live your life. Someone said he can't go away. He's owned by the industry. He freaking threw away his industry. Chrissy asked on Facebook, said, why would Tim even have the interview, then throw it in their face that his audience doesn't want these people on, boost himself? Yeah, of course. Tim is running a business. Tim Pool is running a business. That's what it is. Having these people on is incredibly great for his business. His video's monetized. He had 95,000 people watching his video yesterday. And as of right now, watch. As of right now, this video has $847,000. If his click-through rate is, anything, say it's $8, right? And he makes 1 million views on this video, he's going to make a shit ton of money. $8 per 1,000, do the math. He's going to make a crap ton of money. That's why these guys do it. That's why like the big guys like Mr. Beast and all of them, that's why they do things geared towards their viewers. Normally on a Tim Pool day, I would assume that he has like 20, 40, 50,000 people. He doesn't have 100,000 people that watch a live video. He simply doesn't. The reason why he had so many people and the reason why he'd platform him is because he cares more about business. That's what it is. It's a business thing for him, and they kind of talk about that at the end, but you can't fault Tim Pool for having this interview. I don't think anyone can. Speaking of businesses, guys, go follow the link in the chat. It's in the description as well. And go buy one of these trucker t-shirt bags. It's great for Christmas. Buy one of them. It comes with 3 custom t-shirts, a bunch of stickers and patches. Plus, we're going to throw some gift cards in them. Plus, if you buy one, you qualify for a chance to win a 55-inch flat screen in a couple of days. It really helps us to be able to pay the bills and do what we need to. I see there's 550 people watching across social media right now. Just go over, buy a t-shirt box. It's great designs. Or if you want to support the show directly, now's your chance. I'll be honest, I need your support. I spent a tremendous amount on the construction for the cafe. I've got, all these bills that we got to do. It's been a little bit slower for the past month and a half because I've given away too many TVs and things. So if you guys can support today at the end of the month, please do. You can do Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal down below, or you can just go and get something for your money by going to theangryturnip.com and picking up something and winning a chance for a TV. All right. Anyway, let's go back to this. So this is now where he's getting ready to talk about his feelings about, being threatened with arrest.
Trump out. You get what I'm saying? It's like I would have never wanted to do anything that hurt Trump. I'm on Trump's side. Trump said things that hurt me. He lied about me, but I mean, he's known for lying. And when people used to tell me that, he's a liar, it's like, I went into the trenches for Trump. That's another conversation. There was no one in my position that wore that hat. And all of my surroundings exhausted me. It was like death by 1,000 questions. I know I'm jumping to another thing, but what I'm saying is I know you got a rep for your people online, but it's you got a person in real life that I'm not with it, bro. I lost the money for the freedom of speech. And that's what makes me the only American that we know that really deserves to run the country, because everyone else, your boy DeSantis, Trump, whoever they raised in a petri dish over on the Democrats.
Okay. I will say that one, well, there's two, because he did say your boy DeSantis and they kind of laughed, which is kind of funny. So I'll go back so we don't miss that little bit. But the thing that kind of gets me there, I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about too many things. Because I saw Nick Fuentes shaking his head. he made a valid point and say, listen, he's being targeted for freedom of speech, because whether you like it or not, his statement, even construed in the most awful way, his statement about being wronged by Jewish people is a protected free speech. I mean, whether you like it or not. And so what he's saying is that he exhibited free speech, whether you agree with it or not. And he's had bank accounts canceled. He's been attacked by the media. He's been attacked by conservatives and Democrats. He's been attacked by his own industry and actors and actresses, you know, for saying what he believed. And it's a little interesting when you think of it that way, right? Because he has, based on just saying, you know, just exercising his freedom of speech, even if it's something you disagree with. And that's the thing about the freedom of speech. It's universal. You know what I mean? It applies to everybody. It doesn't just apply to the left when they want it. It doesn't just apply to the right when they want it. You know, and that's something I've talked heavily about on my regular show, is that it seems so many times people on the right are attacking the left for saying certain things, and people on the left are attacking the right for saying certain things. And they're literally doing the same thing to the opposite side that they're arguing that the opposite side is doing to them. And I've never really understood that, you know, but that's what Kanye West is saying here. Is he's like, listen, I'm being forced to defend myself because of my, you know, my choice to use freedom of speech, my choice to say what I want, how I want, no matter how wrong it is, you know, and he's right.
Your opinion on it. You jumped into it.
But
I don't care about your opinion. I like your opinion on how we win an election, but I don't care about anybody's opinion, bro. I lost. They tried to put me in jail. They blocked $2 billion I had. Like what I told Farrakhan, I said, look, is it anti-Semitic for me to say his name out loud? Like I told
minister.
Yeah, the minister. Like I told
Obama met with him too.
Oh, he was. Yeah, I mean the Jewish people allowed Obama to meet with the minister, you know.
See, I mean, I just don't get that. I don't get what he's seeing there. So
Farrakhan said, well, did he have the money? The contract for the next 4 years, if I hadn't done anything, would have been $500 million a year for 4 years. What I was fighting for was the IP, so my children could, I'm sorry, sometimes I think about 7 thoughts at one time, because anything I see, I come up with like 7 answers to it and then just choose what it is. But the thing is, when I said my children, the reason why my brain kind of blocked, because it's like God is saying, you know, your children are going to be okay. Baby mama's got money, right? God is using me. He's breaking me down, removing all of the, richest person, all of this, so I can serve him. And the more and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press.
like this is where he's gone off the deep end. I have no freaking clue. I'm going to rewind just a little bit, because this is also where he just says enough is enough and leaves, where he doesn't say enough is enough. But, and I want to play this part uninhibited, not with me not talking over it. So I'm going to play it. Someone said, if you follow Kanye, then when you know what he's talking about. Nobody knows what he's talking about right now. Basically, what he's saying is he's losing everything standing up for what he believes in. Okay, welcome to the club. That has happened to so many people. It's happened to so many people. Thank you, Tanya and Gina and Deborah, for the Cash Apps. I appreciate those. Keep them coming. I'll try to give you guys shout outs if you do the Cash Apps today as well. Cash Apps and Venmos. The link is down below if you want. Anyway, all right, here we go.
Him. And the more and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah,
I think they've been extremely unfair to you. I think.
Who is they though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using the. I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018,
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
He's gone. I'll say it right now.
And then he walks off. Now there's a couple of parts here that are important. Watch, I'll try to stop it.
Here's my pain. Here's my suffering. I'm gonna say, I hear you, and then he's gonna say, and it was Jewish.
No, I went forward instead of back.
Are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
Yo, he was shook. like Tim was shook right there. I don't care how you are, you or who you are. He was shook right there. Right there at that very moment. He's like, ah, crap. Is Kanye West? I mean, those would be some headlines. Imagine if Kanye West punched Tim Pool in the face as he was leaving. But that's where he leaves, you know, and then they continue on for an hour and a half, essentially talking about it. But he leaves, and he didn't want to come back because, and listen, I understand the frustration he must have, feeling like he has to constantly defend himself. Like, you know what I mean? And no matter whether we agree with what he's saying or not, he feels that he has to defend his statements because he's a celebrity. But those are self-imposed, barriers, right? So it'd be like if I said something stupid on the show and I continue doing a show every single day, right? And people still harbored that grudge against me and always, challenge me on what I said over and over and over. Of course, I'm making the conscious choice to continue doing the show. He's making the conscious choice to continue being in the limelight. The dude has got stupid money. For anyone that believes that he couldn't just, go and buy a house, didn't he already have a house in like Wyoming or some shit? Where he couldn't just go and buy a house and just live a quiet solitude life, and turn that money into more money. He just needs people in his corner that actually care about him, that care about his well-being. Because to be honest, anything he's doing right now, do I think there's something wrong with him mentally? I have no idea. I'm not a psychologist. Do I think he's got a couple of screws loose? Yeah, probably. That's probably what being a celebrity and stupid rich does, to you. But, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm not going to try to diagnose someone. My personal belief is that medication is bullshit and it doesn't work. That's my belief, but it doesn't mean that's even true. That's just my belief, but a lot of people are harping on Tim Pool for basically saying, he said this. Ah, fuck. And then the sound goes off. Why? I wonder if I'm like hitting something. The sound like disconnects for some reason.
He's gone.
Oh wait, so I went too far. Wish there was a way I could just like rewind 10 seconds.
Use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it.
So, and this is why. Because Tim Pool right here, this is what pissed everybody off, is they feel like Tim Pool should have allowed the conversation to continue without saying, no, it's not all Jewish people. That's literally the point that they were trying to make just there, or this racist scumbag was trying to make. And to be honest, I've listened to enough from Nick Fuentes to be able to say he's a racist scumbag. And if anyone disagrees with me on that, that's fine. But I've listened to enough of his sound bites to understand he is a racist scumbag. And so, my opinion's not going to change on that. But because Tim Pool says this,
2018.
What do you mean it's not?
what do I mean? Like, okay, so how about
or whatever, you guys all heard it the first time. Watch.
arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost,
Right
but I
here.
still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you. I think
Who was they though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using the. I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about,
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
and because when you think about it,
Because he says no, it's not. Because what Nick Fuentes was trying to say, it's Jewish people, and he said no, it's not. And that's what everyone was saying. He shouldn't have said that. He should. That's Volthlow said you're racist too. I guarantee you looked at the demographics of the city before you moved. Are you kidding? I mean, you're new here. Are you kidding? Some people are stupid. Do people actually do that? Do people actually look at the demographics of the schools that they or because I know people do it with schools. Do they do it with the towns? Will you not move to a certain area? We look up crime stats. Obviously, I don't want to live in a place where the crime rate's 99%, where you have a 99% likelihood of getting stabbed when you walk out your front door. I'm a card carrying NRA member, even though I shouldn't be. They're a waste of money. But I'm a concealed carry permit holder. I don't want to kill anybody though in my life. That's not what I don't look for the day that I get to shoot someone, in defending my life and property. No, absolutely not. Vothlow, I think you're on Twitch. I don't know. So you're probably a leftist moron. But someone on Twitch is essentially saying that I'm a racist because I moved, I guess. It doesn't even matter where, just because I moved, that I'm a racist, which is weird. It's a weird thing to say. It's a really weird thing to say. Saying crime rate is not what did you call it? The race or what? I've lost your comment here. Demographics of the city before you moved. I live in a town, not a city anyway. I don't even know if they publish the demographics for the city where we bought our house. It's tiny. They have like a population of 5,000 people. Samantha said getting red. Yeah, because I'm getting mad. That's why there's one thing I don't like being called. It's a racist because it's really, stupid people, man. That's it. But so this whole Tim Pool interview was kind of funny. Everyone's attacking Tim Pool now, or not everyone. A lot of people are saying Tim Pool didn't do enough. He didn't allow them to speak. A lot of people are saying Tim Pool talked over him. A lot of the stuff that I said in the beginning of this video, that's what they're saying Tim Pool does. That he talks over, he seems like he knows it all. I didn't see any of the characteristics of his usual self that I don't like exhibited at all during this interview. I didn't see any of them. What I saw is someone that was allowing someone else to speak. However, when they did say something he disagreed with, he said, no, I don't agree with that. And his actual message or his actual Kanye was saying, you don't agree with that? And he's like, no, I don't agree with that. And then Kanye got up and left. That's the thing is when you're asked a question, and even like I would have just been like, not all of them. Like that's the thing is maybe it wasn't made clear enough, that's the objection to everybody. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, someone said, but the disaster crew is chipping away at the question about power structure, one debacle at a time. Yeah. Tim Pool does talk over everyone. That's why I'm not a huge fan, but I would go on his show. I could be a good fill-in, right? Because I live like an hour away. So if they have, people cancel, I could be there in an hour. Come on, Timmy. Oh, come on. But those guys are all like supreme intellectuals. I'm like a regular person. You know what I mean? So it would probably be a boring conversation for me because they would just be going on about something and I'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'm just a regular person. I'm not like a super intellectual or anything like that, But that's just my opinion on it. What else? Oh, so the Milo and Nick Fuentes. Yeah, my personal belief is that they are completely using Kanye West to prop themselves up. They are, and I wouldn't be funny. I wouldn't be surprised if they are trying to get money out of him as well. If they are, look at it. They're flying on private jets with Kanye from wherever the hell they came to over to meet with them in Virginia or West Virginia, wherever the hell they live. You know what I mean? These guys they're taking advantage of Kanye West. And I could say that with 100% certainty that they are. They have their own interests in mind. They're trying to become relevant again. And it's sad that Kanye West, nobody's telling him. Nobody's like, come on, dude. Like, seriously. Like, Kanye, I'll work with you. I'll make sure you don't do any stupid interviews or say anything stupid. You know, doesn't everyone, aren't they called like bagmans or something like that? Where it's the one person that's supposed to keep you out of trouble, keep you out of stupid interviews, where you walk up and say, this interview's done. You know, I mean, if you need a perfect example of one, look at Joe Biden's press corps. I mean, they're perfect. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough questions. That's what they do all the time. But it shouldn't scare you, or what should scare you is the fact that Kanye does still stand a chance at becoming president of the United States. That should scare everybody, because now it makes me a little bit nervous. There's no way in hell I could ever vote for the guy, but it does make me a little nervous because, I mean, Joe Biden got elected and is the president of the United States, and it would be interesting to see Joe Biden and Kanye West having a debate. Like, I think I would actually pay for that kind of debate. That would be an excellent pay-per-view. We could probably get out of our deficit, just sell pay-per-view for Joe Biden drooling at his side, half asleep, right? They would have to do it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's but other than that, he would not be a good president. And to be honest, because he can't at all. You know, if you can't even handle a 2-minute interview with Tim Pool or a 2-hour interview with Tim Pool, it's not going to work. You know, my opinion. And you could see what's kind of funny is you could see that I had about 40 people watching this live stream right now across all platforms that have never watched this show before and didn't know that we were right leaning. And so as soon as I made the Joe Biden comment, I literally dropped 40 people just like that. That's funny. I like that stuff. But at any rate, somebody said nobody could beat Donald Trump in a fair election. Yeah, I would hazard a guess and say any actual candidate that runs against Donald Trump would beat Donald Trump. That's my opinion. I don't think Donald Trump will be president in 2024. I don't even think he's going to get the Republican nod in 2024. And here's the thing, and it kind of has to do with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes and all this stuff, right? All these extremely powerful people, right, in our lives, these extremely influential, powerful people in our lives seem to have people that are working with them in a deliberate attempt to sabotage them. Donald Trump is one as well. There is no reason why Nick Fuentes was even able to access Mar-a-Lago, let alone sit down and have a conversation with Donald Trump. There is no reason. Any person working for Donald Trump should be fired, because the people that allowed him to go in there and have that meal, they knew who he was. They knew what the media was going to do. They knew about it, and they deliberately did it anyway. You know, and the problem that I have is I think so many times that this has happened where Donald Trump just makes, and ultimately you got to look at it as him, right? Even though he has handlers, he has people working behind him. You got to look at it like it's him, or at least I do. That's how I'm choosing to look at it. That it's Donald Trump's responsibility to make sure the people that are coming in and that he's having dinners with are responsible, good people. Nick Fuentes is not. And he's widely known to be a white supremacist and nationalist. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a nationalist, because I believe that means you put your country first. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're proud of your country. But someone said Nick's Cuban. What's the big deal? He's a racist. Go watch any of the sound bites that are all over social media. I mean, I've watched too many of them to be dissuaded by anybody else. And that's just my belief on that regard. But Donald Trump sat down and had a meal with him. Milo, I don't know anything really about Milo. I just know he's a very smart person. But from what I understand, he says stupid stuff too. Someone said, what does Donald Trump say about the dinner? So Donald Trump's statement is he doesn't know who Nick Fuentes is. He didn't know who Nick Fuentes is. and that's it. And it was one of Kanye's friends. There's no the guy is a former president of the United States. You can't get anywhere close to him without Secret Service doing background checks on you. Like, seriously, there's no way that they didn't know who he is when he sat down with him. There's no way. And maybe Donald Trump did not know who Nick Fuentes was, but there is no way the people there didn't know who he was. The guy is literally on no-fly list. Nick Fuentes is literally on no-fly list because of his rhetoric, right? Because of his speech. Even though it's protected speech, yes, I still defend his right to be able to say his stupid racist shit on social media, even though he's banned on all the platforms. But, he literally was on no-fly list. Samantha Womack said he's not a racist. Okay. All right. You don't know, Steve. I have watched video after video after video of him making racist comments. Video after video after video. Okay, so nobody, just because he may give context around it, there's certain things you can't say, and I'm not going to play them all, but that's it. Dan said, I've listened to Milo over the past year. Super smart and definitely not looking for notoriety anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand why, and I don't really know Milo, so I don't understand why, or I can't really critique too much on why he was with Kanye West. But the other guy, I just don't, Nick Fuentes, based on what I've seen of him, no, I don't like him. I don't like him at all. And there's nobody that's going to be able to change my mind on that. Someone said, Rambler Rose said, really? I don't know Fuentes that much. I just thought he was white positive. Something we need right now as the target of our culture. What the fuck? That was on YouTube, mods. Are you stupid, dude? What we should be is neutral positive, right? We should stop caring about everybody's fucking race. That's why we got into this mess in the first place. There shouldn't be any scholarships based on race or grant programs based on race or crime statistics based on race. Race should not play a factor in anything. It should be people. You shouldn't be white positive, black positive, Asian positive, none of that shit. You should just be Americans. Like, damn, dude, I hate that. Now you just ruined my show. Whoever that was on YouTube. My mods will find you and get rid of you too. Why would white supremacists really hang out with a successful black man? I have no idea. But David said, exactly based on what you've seen, it's so limited, Steve. Hey, it doesn't matter. Opinions are like assholes and everyone's got one. That's my opinion, that he's a racist. I've listened to the stupid shit he says. I disagree with him almost on every aspect. And all of his racist comments and bigoted comments and sexist comments. No, I'm never going to get on board with those comments, And that's just what I have to say. I'm tired of the race stuff. I'm tired of everybody, going back and forth about race. Everyone using race as a scapegoat, right? And so I don't want to hear about that anymore. I really do. I don't want to hear about it anymore, And it pisses me off that even people in my chat will go to say that, or advocate for white positivity. What the fuck is that? That's stupid. I don't look at myself and be like, oh, I'm a handsome white guy. I'm like, no, I'm a gosh darn good looking dude. That's what I say. I don't see race in people. And I wish people would just stop because you're stupid. Do you know what I mean? To say white positive or that we all need to be more white positive. No, we don't. Because you don't need to be white positive if people aren't targeting other people based on race. That's how you fix it all. Oh my gosh. Someone said you're a new sub, Steve. And do you think Trump is trying to separate himself from Kanye with the social media posts? I also love the race take. Do I think he's trying to separate himself from Kanye? Yeah, Donald Trump is a competitive person, right? And I've long said this. I said my perspective on Donald Trump, And for most people that don't know, I was never Donald Trump's biggest fan. Okay, I think he was excellent as a president. I think he's less than excellent as a tweeter, and and that's pretty much it. You know, if he wasn't on Twitter and he used a little a little of, we teach our kids, think before you speak. Like if he did that just a couple more times in his life, he would have been able to avoid all of the media hate. It never would have happened. But would he have garnished as much attention and support from everyday Americans? I have no idea, because everyday Americans like that. Look how many times I fuck up and say the wrong thing during the live shows. I don't follow scripts. I worked for broadcasters. I was an anchor for a news organization, and I couldn't do it because that's not the way I speak. I speak off of my head. I can't do any of that stuff. That's just how I am. And Donald Trump, I think, appealed to so many people because he seemingly was that same way initially. But I've never been a big fan of his tweets because his tweets are what got him in trouble. His tweets are what gave the left ammo and media ammo to keep going after him. And the shit that he would say, and the fact that the hatred for Donald Trump exceeded, actually, people would hate Donald Trump so much that they wouldn't even look at what he was doing positive for our country. My wife is one of those people. She doesn't care about his policies. She doesn't care about what he did in office. She just thinks as a human being, he is an awful human being, and she can't ever see herself ever voting for him. And you know what? I respect her for it because that's her choice. Do I think it's flawed? Absolutely. Have I tried to convince her otherwise? Yeah, every day. But you know what? That's just her choice. But I think Donald Trump has shifted from being that like everyday American, even though he was a billionaire, but that with that attitude that he had, I think it's shifted. And now he's a politician and he wants to win. I think, to be honest, that's my major impression of Donald Trump right now, is that he wants to win more than anything else. Do you know what I mean? And that's my opinion. He made one comment he made a long time ago, and I know he was joking. I've caught flat for saying this, but he said it at one of the rallies, and you guys will know because it's pretty much the last time I streamed his rallies. Is he was making a comment about, he always went on and talked about the female weight or the male weightlifter that was competing as a woman, and he goes through his thing that the same speech he does every time, and then he only said the LeBron James thing a couple of times. But he makes a comment about LeBron James and says that if he was a coach in a basketball team and he had to coach a team of dudes that want to be girls, transgender, whatever the fuck you call them, athletes, because I don't know, is it transsexual, transgender, I don't care. They're people. That if he had to coach those people, that he would call LeBron James and say, hey, have you ever thought about playing for a woman? Because he said he just wants to win. And then and even though he was making a joke, it made me think about it. And I'm like, that is what it is. That's what it's about. For Donald Trump now, it's about winning. And then when you look at the Dr. Oz endorsements, you look at some of the other endorsements, and you're like, wait, is that what it is? Is it just does he just want to win? And that's the thing. Hold on. My wife is texting me because she's on lunch break and I didn't text back when she said hello. So now I have to do it and just be like, hi, I'm live. This is, she could just check. Like that would be the nice thing to do instead of interrupting my show. But yeah, but that's my belief. I think he's kind of changed. I think he's changed. I don't know who that is. I think he's changed. He's changed into more of a politician. And I think with the immense amount of targeting that he's been subjected to over the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, he's never going to get out from that criticism. And I think it's going to deter us as Americans from getting back to a place in this country where we can all live together. You know what I mean? Because we're not really. Let's be honest. There's an immense hatred by people on the right for people on the left. There's an immense hatred by people on the left for people on the right. And that's not going to be solved if you just keep that same thing going. Do you know what I mean? That's just my belief. I think Donald Trump would be a much more powerful person if he was to work on the back of, in the back. and put his politicians in office, throw his financial support behind candidates, that he supports. He's got a great track record of doing it. I don't think he should run for president, but he's already declared he's going to, and he's going to do it. And I've said that on my show, and I know a lot of people get pissed off at me about it. But then again, like someone said, I loved how much Trump annoyed the hell out of Hillary. Oh my God, that was amazeballs. Well, do you remember the statement? If I really hope he doesn't become president during the debate. And he said, because you'd be in jail. He had 4 years to put her in jail for all the offenses, and it never happened. It never happened. So my personal opinion is that he should not run for president again. I don't think he's going to win the Republican primary this time, depending on the candidates. But I don't think he'll win the Republican primary based on the reason I just stated. I just don't think he's a candidate for everybody now, And he was for a long time. I just don't think he is now, And that's my belief. Robert Rowe on YouTube is just saying something stupid. YouTube mods, you don't have to ban him. Delete his comment though, guys. You can't write Jewish stuff in my chat on social media. You cannot do it. Okay, it's not a matter of your freedom of speech. It's a matter of mine, because they don't penalize you. They penalize me because they say I'm supposed to watch the chat. So you can't write that kind of stuff in the chat, please. It's whether or not you think it's correct. If you want to do that, go write it on your own platform, please. And that's why I'm not even reading or addressing it. Anyway, guys, if you want to buy our trucker t-shirt packs, please do. If you like this show and you want to support us in what we're doing today, we could really use your help. Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. We don't do it too much where we beg. That's kind of what's going on. We're short a couple $100, not too much, but yeah, please consider supporting the show. I probably will not be live tonight because I'm going to be with family. We have family coming into town. Someone said, so rude all right, get rid of Samantha Womack too. And here's the thing. Don't talk to my wife, or don't talk about my wife either. That's pretty disrespectful. Yeah. And it's so rude. Why? Because I said, sorry, I'm live. I love you. Is that rude? She should check if I'm live before, texting me over and over. She normally does. She couldn't because she was at work. So thank you. Someone said, at first I thought Tim blew it, but Yee is playing everyone. I don't know if he's playing everybody. I think Yee may. Like I said in the show, I think Yee had a valid point. He's made some general comments, although he did then defend. See, that's the thing, is because initially when I started this show, I was like, oh, he hasn't directly labeled all Jewish people, right? He's labeled the people that offended him. But then at the end, it seemed like he was directly affecting or directly labeling the people that did. Thank you, Lisa, for that Cash App. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's about it. I'm going to, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be live tonight. Maybe I'll be live super late at night. I don't know. But thank you, Lisa, because I do got to come up with something. If you want to buy one of our trucker t-shirt packs, $10 from every sale is going to the St. Christopher Truckers Fund, which goes to help provide financial assistance for truckers who get sick on the road and their families, and a bunch of other stuff. Check them out. You can look them up at truckersfund.org. But it also supports us as well. I make about 10 and we donate 10. So if you want, go to theangryturnup.com. You'll see it on the main page. And if you buy one of those boxes, you may win a chance at a 55-inch flat screen television that we're going to give away on Thursday. I believe it's Thursday. What is it? December 2nd. Today is the 30th. Oh, no. Today is the 29th. So what is that? 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd. So it's Friday. Friday, we're giving away a 55-inch flat screen. So if you want a chance of winning that, and for anyone that's like, oh, he doesn't give away TVs, ask people in the chat, because almost all of them are one TVs. we give away TVs like crazy here, because one, we can get them pretty cheap, and two, most people like smart TVs. So, but I appreciate all you guys for watching, and we will see you the next time I'm live or upload a video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Bye.